Do you want me to give you a hint?
Yeah,
Becca?
I do. Because I'll try and guess it at the same time as you say it.
You're gonna get it right away after the hint. Oh wait, or should I go for this one? So yeah, I started writing it, and it was my memoir, but now it's just my first book. 1, 2, 3.
Manic.
Pixie.
Jumpscare. Hosted by Quinn Murphy
And Becca Hobart.
Hi, we're
Quinn.
And we're Becca.
Becca.
And welcome back to Manic Pixie Jumpscare, a podcast where we talk openly about our shared delusions
Passions and
love for each other.
Yeah.
Oh my god, taking us to church there, Becca.
Quinn, wait, Quinn. Wait, did you hear? This is our 3rd episode.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since the people have last heard, well, since we last heard, the people are enjoying what we put out of MPJ, which is so incredible to hear. And the fact that we put it out, it feels a little bit surreal, but we're really glad to have done it. How are you feeling since the drop, the launch, if you will?
Oh my goodness, it's been such an interesting experience. I think, first of all, like, you assume since everybody does podcasts that they must be, like, easy to do. And, like, the recording part's super easy. Sitting down, talking with my bestie, Becca, something that comes naturally to me.
Of course.
However, some of, like, the technological rigmarole, it was all, like, beautiful work. I'm happy it all happened. But, like, there were points where I was like, I don't know if we're going to get this girl off the ground. Because, of course, we heard our lovely theme music. We are on a bunch of different platforms, which I'm super proud of. And that was something that was always important to Becca and I when starting this process. And so, yeah, there's just a lot of work that goes into it. And Becca and I are a completely independent podcast production right now. We are so willing to sell out in the future. It's not funny.
So willing. I'm actually blowing up, like, TMG's phone. Like, hit my line.
We're sending them the exclusive content. We're sending them everything.
Feet photos, everything.
But yeah, it's just like... but it's just like, it's a lot of work. It's like everything you see on the podcast, Becca and I have done ourselves. But now I'm hoping it, I was talking to Becca about this the other day because launch day was a little bit stressful because, well, we were originally going to launch on Friday, May 27th, I want to say. Whatever that last Friday was in May, we were originally going to launch then, but we didn't have our theme song ready yet, and we didn't want to put out, like, an incomplete product or anything like that. And so then we kind of changed course and did, like, our little double premiere type thing. And so, yeah, and then it got to, like, the actual day, and our RSS feed, which is basically the thing that, like, sends our podcast out to everything, was, like, a miss. And so, yeah, it was a little bit of a stressful day. And Becca texted me being like, hey, do you need anything?
Checking in. No, because you're like, this is more difficult than I thought, but also I'm like, not for me. Like, Quinn is really the muscle behind this and is the editor and the genius, I would say. So, yeah, it's not been as difficult for me as you. Yeah, but I'm always here to help.
Yeah, of course, and I know that. But it's just like I have a thing where, and it was a good sign ultimately because I haven't felt like passionate or creatively fulfilled by something as much as I feel by this podcast in a long time. And like when I get into that space, I can truly just like keep going.
Yeah.
Like that, like our second episode, to peel back the curtain a little bit, we recorded almost like 2 hours of footage for that episode. There's going to be an exclusive from that episode that we'll kind of put out that was like cut for time type thing, because we didn't want the episode to be too long. Yeah, and so I was just like, there was a one day last week where I like went to a coffee shop and I was just like editing the entire podcast. We'd had the theme songs by that point, so I had to go back into the first episode, which I had already edited, and like put everything back in, and then like figuring out the fades and all that kind of stuff, because I was getting a little fancy with the editing at some points. But yeah, it was all super fun and super fulfilling, and so I'm really happy. And so, yeah, Becca, has any, like, particular response to the podcast surprised you, or anything else special you think about the launch?
I mean, so that's a great question. So I always expected a really positive response, but what I've received is even more positive than I could have ever imagined. And I feel like people are, like, reaching out to tell me how much they like it. And that makes me so happy. Like, people who have never even heard of you, Quinn, are already obsessed with you. And I'm not surprised
Really?
by that at all. Oh, of course.
Oh my gosh. Because I have, not to call out on my friends, because I'm sure they're like busy people leading busy lives, but I haven't heard like as much like of my friend response. My family, my parents in particular, have been listening to the podcast, which is something that scares me quite a bit.
Yeah, that is scary. But have they liked it so far?
Yes, my mother left me a message on my phone on launch day being like, I listened to it, and you know I wouldn't say so if I didn't. Because my mother, while being my biggest fan, is also one of my harshest critics. And so she was like, you know I wouldn't say it if I didn't like it, but I really liked it. I don't know how she felt about episode 2 when I did say cock on the pod.
And
but
now in
I haven't been able to talk
3.
to her about that. I've not talked to her about all that yet. But yeah. Also, something funny about my mom listening to the podcast is I was being a little crazy on Friday, and I was like, even though I had probably heard the whole episode through at least twice, that first episode, I like still listened to it on Spotify because I was like, what is this giving? Like, what is like the listening experience
the
like?
user
Did everything transfer over kind of well? And then like my phone, like my Spotify was being weird, and I was like, what is going on? And I was like, this isn't like a problem with our podcast in particular, right? Like, it's not like bugged, like anything like that. And then I think it is that my mom has access to my Spotify account, and so since I sent her a Spotify link, she was listening on my account. So it kept saying like playing from iPhone, and I was like, no, you're literally not. Or it kept like going back to weird parts, like, and I was like, what is going on? Like, there's like a phantom in my phone. But I think it was just my mother trying to support me.
Aww.
And so yeah,
I will say my mom also listened to some of the first episode, and she was like, I appreciated the mention. And then she goes, but I was confused when you said we had a complicated relationship. I was like, oh, we don't got time to talk about all that, girl.
Cut for time.
I was like, I don't know. But she was like, I thought it was funny. But yeah, so.
Yeah, no, your mom is a star of the MPJ cinematic universe
already,
so far, I would say.
And I can't wait to do an episode just about her.
Oh my god,
and
the
all her
mom
glory.
cast is coming.
You better believe it. It's gonna be scary. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But Becca, have you been up to anything else kind of fun, funky, and or fresh since we've last recorded?
So not really. I'm actually been kind of, I don't know, in a funk, you could call it. I go back to work tomorrow at Starbucks, serving time, serving sweat and tears and blood, everything.
It's giving.
Yes.
It's giving.
It's giving. And I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of in like a limbo of a place. Like, I feel like I'm stressed out, but I'm also like not, I also feel like I'm not doing enough. So I don't know. I am going to try and refocus my time on my joy and doing things that strictly makes me like happy and really like analyzing what I enjoy. But yeah.
Yeah.
So that's been my deal. But Quinn, I must say, something that happened to you recently brought me a lot of joy. Would you care to tell us?
Yes, but before I get into that, I just wanna validate my friend Becca.
Oh, thank you.
I was feeling kind of the same way because I came back to Pittsburgh recently, but I was feeling very much the same way at home. Like I was kind of bored. I was just like, okay, so what's going on now? And so yeah, it is also. I find it. We talked about us graduating in our first episode, and it is truly like an interesting experience to be like, okay, well, now that like, because I feel like I came from a background where it was like kind of always expected that I would go to college, and that was kind of always the path I was going to take, and I think that ultimately was the right path for me. Like, I'm not saying I like regret anything about it, but it's just now it's the first time in my life where I truly have like agency to decide like, yeah, this is what I do next. This is what brings me joy. This is what I want to do. And that can be a scary thing.
It's crazy. It truly is.
And I am hearing some of that from my friend Becca. And so just wanted to recognize that. If anybody else, we know a lot of other recent graduates. And so I'm sure there are other people feeling that in many different ways. And so we are allies in the fight.
United.
Speaking of allies, Becca, do you want to comment on your headwear?
Oh my god, yeah. So I'm wearing my little pride. Speaking of allies, as an ally, I am so excited to represent these dollar section rainbows to say
they're very cute.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I like
them
how
very
they bobble.
fun.
But
it gives that one episode
Pride.
of SpongeBob. What was it?
Imagination. Oh no.
No, not even. But it was
the
when
one,
they had like the.
Yeah, it was. I feel like they were creatures of the future, which I do identify with.
I can like see it in my head, but like if my head, when they make the technology like draw things in my head, there's a perfect picture of it, but I don't have the words.
Yeah, it's irretrievable.
So yeah, but it is LGBT Pride Month, which I at least will be getting into a little bit later in the podcast. But before that, all the way back in May, if you can believe it or not, almost 2 weeks ago now, I was able to attend the Club Paradise tour in Philadelphia. And so if you don't know what Club Paradise is, it's the music artist Slater's most recent tour. She released an album last year called Troubled Paradise. Becca and I are both fans of Slater's work.
Big fans.
I wouldn't say I'm like...
Oh, I'm a big fan.
I would say I'm a pretty big fan, too. I'm not, like, standing. It wasn't, like, the biggest thing in my life ever, but it was a really fun show. And me and my friends bought the tickets, like, a year ago. And I remember them being, like, a lot cheaper. Maybe it's because we're, like, throttling into, like, a recession right now.
Yeah.
But, like, I remember being like, oh, these tickets are cheap. And then I went back and looked, and I was like, if I had to buy these tickets now, I'm not sure I would be shelling out this amount of money on them.
Can you type in the chat to me how much they were?
Yes, I will.
If you don't mind.
Oh, no. Oh, I turned off my camera by accident there,
okay.
So a little fun Easter egg for my... Oh, no!
For visual listeners.
Yes. I'm going to type it. I'm not going to talk while I do this because I'm afraid my mic will pick it up. It was somewhere in the neighborhood of this number. It was like a little bit more change.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But for like VIP tickets, like, and so basically I bought a VIP ticket package and that included a meet and greet with Miss Slater herself. And me and my friend were both just like, okay, why not? Let's just do it.
Yeah.
And so we get to the venue and, there was, like, a smaller kind of line outside. We got there pretty early, so we weren't even, like, that far back in line. And so we go in, we get checked in and stuff, and then we wait in line to meet her. And so something we didn't cover in the first 2 episodes is Becca's illustrious career as a recording artist.
Yeah. So everyone, open your Spotifys, open your Apple Musics, and type in Coochie. And a song by Beck's Gloss will come up. And it's produced by Nan, who also produced our theme song, famously.
The only other person mentioned at our end credits.
Yeah, and one of the only people who has the illustrious MPJ follow on Instagram. I can barely say those letters. Okay, but yeah, I am a pop star, and it's something that's like, I don't know, just a little part of me.
Yeah, it's not overwhelming.
No. But it is there.
Because you do so much. You're podcast host, pop star, director,
barista,
actor signed to an agency, brag, barista.
Oh, OMG. Unemployed, yet still unemployed. Crazy.
You know.
Takes a lot.
So... Anyway, Becca released this song a couple months ago. It was the talk of the town in our friend group and beyond. We play it at everything.
Yeah.
I've showed so many people who don't know Becca Coochie, and I'm like, guys, listen to this.
Yeah.
And one of those people is now Slater. And so this is where kind of not being a huge... I won't say I'm not a huge fan, but like I love Slater. I love her music, but I'm just not like... You know, she's just somebody who's kind of in, like, the atmosphere and not somebody who I'm, like, dying over.
You're not obsessed.
And so I didn't care about being, like, annoying and being like, hey, can I just play you my friend's song real quick? Because I was like, okay, so...
I literally can't believe it.
So we, like, walk up. They, like, take your phone right away because they're, like, taking pictures of us. And so I, like, give her a hug. She's dressed in... She has sunglasses. She was wearing sunglasses like the whole time. And then she has a black t-shirt on that says "Tits for Brains" in white lettering, which I enjoyed personally.
Yeah.
I want one myself now. And then I believe she was wearing like a leather like mini skirt and then maybe some like fishnets and then like maybe combat boots.
Yeah.
And so, so we're waiting in line. And then I get up, they're like taking pictures of us, I'm talking to her, and we like take the picture first, basically, and I forget, I must have said something to her before, but then her like handler, whoever, gives me my phone back, and I go, okay, OMG, not to be annoying, but can I please play you my friend's song? And she was like, oh my goodness, of course, super nice about it, and so I had already like loaded it to...
I'm literally blushing right now.
I'm
blushing.
I already had loaded it to the second verse because I was like, I think that's, you know, an impactful part of the song.
Oh wow.
And the second pre-chorus is where you say Coochie Doja, Coochie iced coffee, I'm pretty sure. And so
Coochie Doja, Coochie kitty.
And then
Coochie addicting, Coochie iced coffee.
Yeah, I knew I wanted Coochie Doja in there, and so I made sure it was on the right part of the song, and so I start to play it for her, and she's like, oh, wow, yeah. And then she's like, oh, and then she started, like, saying the lyrics back. She's like, ooh, Coochie Doja. And, like, she was, like, very impressed, and she's like, oh my gosh. And so I, like, after it played for, like, 20, 30 seconds, and then I'm like, okay. Because there are people in line behind me, and I'm, like, not trying to take, like, a whole thing.
Yeah.
I will say, despite all the discussion I've had about not being Slater's biggest fan, I am the person who has taken the longest in the meet and greet line up to this point.
Yeah.
Because nobody's, like, rushing me off, so I'm just like, and I'm like, this is for the podcast. At this point, we come off hot from the first recording session, and I'm like, I need content for my podcast.
Need to talk about things.
And so I knew this. I wanted to do it for my friend Becca. I had like come up with the idea, but then I was like, after we had shot the podcast, I'm like, this is such good opportunity for content.
Yeah.
And so, because that's how we got to think as producers. And so, and she's like, she ended up being like, yeah, it's great. It's like cool indie pop. It's like, and she was very complimentary of it. So, a pretty successful pop star has now heard Beck's Gloss's Coochie,
wow,
the premiere single. And I was like, I texted Becca immediately. I was like, oh my god.
I was freaking out. I was literally floating on air.
No, and like she like legitimately liked it.
I will say, so thank you so much, of course. Like that this has been so meaningful to me. The fact that knowing she's heard it. But also I was like, why didn't she tweet about it? Like,
no, guys, because this started as a joke or not a joke. I was 1,000% serious. Because Slater randomly tweeted out, "Oh, who should I collab with next?" And so I quote tweeted the tweet, QuinnyP123 at Twitter. You can go find it. And I said, "Slater, please collab with my friend Bex Gloss. She's an up and coming artist in the industry, and she could really use your help." And I like put the link to
really
Gucci
use
in
your
it.
help.
What?
No, she could really use your help.
Well, you know.
No, yeah,
we need allies.
I could. I do.
Allies.
I still need that help.
Yeah. And so, you know, the second single will drop at some point, and so Slater will be a good like person to share it on the Instagram story, you know, all that kind of stuff. Even feature maybe. And so I had originally... So Slater didn't interact with that tweet at all. Well, she might have clicked on it. Who knows?
Who's to say?
But... And so, yeah.
Basically, that was the best thing ever.
Yeah. So, yeah, now somebody has heard Beck's Gloss. And they're excited about it. So, Becca's star is rising. That's all I can really say.
Fingers crossed, as always. OMG. But seriously, stream Coochie.
Yeah, stream Coochie, guys. It's an amazing compliment to this podcast. We may even talk about it a little bit later.
Probably.
Teasing the theme of the app. But yeah, I also recently came back to Pittsburgh, where Becca and I met.
How has that been?
Spent a lot of time. It has been really nice. I've gotten to see like my friends who are still here over the summer. It was very fun to kind of catch up and do all that kind of stuff. Same as you. It was kind of nice that I had the podcast last week because I was like, ooh, doing my little, you know, stuff. I'm also starting to like go back to my job this week. I might also be getting like another job because I'm only technically part-time at my one job. And so now all that kind of stuff starts, and so I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But it's been nice. I've started The Artist's Way.
What's that?
Are you familiar? Oh.
No.
So The Artist's Way is like this really famous program developed by Julia Cameron, who's apparently was like a screenwriter.
Oh.
And she developed this program. It's like a 12-week program that helps you unblock yourself creatively. And so, like, it's been talked about by a bunch of people. And so, I bought it last year when I was, like, taking a class because these people recommended it who had come in to give, like, guest speeches and stuff like that. And so I bought it all the way back then. And I started it this week because I want to get back into, like, creativity and stuff. And, like, a big thing of it is called, like, the morning pages. And so, like, the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning is, after I, like, make my bed and, like, make a cup of coffee, is I write 3 pages, like, longhand. And it's just, like, stream of consciousness.
And that just, like, fulfills you? Or, like...
It's supposed to kind of, like, unblock you.
Okay.
Which I think it definitely does, because it's, like... It kind of like you can just like do whatever in it. Like,
yeah.
I remember I wrote about I wrote about the podcast a good bit, being like, oh, here are all my fears. Here's where my mind goes when I think of all the things that can go wrong. It's kind of nice because it just allows you to get all that stuff out. And then I haven't had a lot of time to do like the exercises in the book, but also it's a lot about trying to like unleash the creativity. Like there's a lot of the exercises in like the first week. A lot of them are like, you have to, like, look back at, like, your monsters. She calls them, like, monsters of creativity.
Okay.
Like, people who basically told you, like, can't do it. And, like, think about them and go to that place. And then she also is, like, there's also this really interesting activity where you had to write down like an affirmation 10 times, and then you were supposed to write down the things in your head that like said different from those affirmations.
Wow. This is
And
like
she calls it
very deep shadow work.
Yes, she calls it
Wow.
like your sensor. And so like it was like the affirmation was like something like, I, Quinn Murphy, am a brilliant and prolific artist, and then something in my head being like, like I had to write down all those things. And then an exercise that I've not done yet is I'm supposed to turn all those like blurts, is what they call them, into like positive affirmations.
Wow.
And so yeah, I'm still on week 1, but it's just kind of something I've been doing lately that's made me feel a little bit like out of like the little rut I felt like I was kind of in.
Yeah. Aw, that sounds so beautiful.
Okay, Becca, I think that was a pretty successful catch up.
I would say
So
so.
we are going to throw to the cheekiest of little breaks, and then we will be back to explain what we are getting into in this episode, because
I'm excited.
pretty confident in saying no podcast has ever done this before.
Oh, I'm 100%, 1,000% sure. 1,000%.
And so, yeah, we'll be right back.
Guys, I'm scared.
Okay, we're back.
Welcome back.
So now Becca and I want to introduce a new facet to the podcast. Over our first 2 episodes, we talked a lot about world building. And this is something new that we are introducing to the MPJCU, or the Manic, Pixie, Jumpscare cinematic universe, as it were. Becca and I are working together on this episode and every episode from now on to source a stan list.
Yeah.
And so if you don't know what a stan list is, basically, Becca and I are big fans of Twitter, A. And then under Twitter, there's also stan Twitter.
Ooh.
Which is basically to stan someone means you will go to the ends of the earth to defend them, promote their work. You are a disciple for this person in the world.
A vessel. Definitely.
Famous stan groups include the Barbs, probably the most famous. Or maybe the Beehive. Directioners. Swifties.
I can't even get into like the K-pop stans.
Oh, the Army.
Oh boy.
And we love and for all legal purposes, we love the K-pop stans.
We love
and
you
love
guys.
All the groups. We stand BTS on this podcast. We're streaming Luna. We're streaming Blackpink. We're streaming all the girls. And
Every
the
single
boys.
day. Yeah.
Yeah, everything. And so, yeah. And so basically what people would do is they would have like stan lists in their bios. And so it would be like, Lady Gaga, Lizzo, Ariana Grande, like a list of like 5 or 6 people maybe, or like even as many as, 10 to 20 or something. People that they stan. And then you look at that account and you say, okay, like this is that
I
account.
vibe with
so
you.
I should follow them, not follow them based on that.
I should bully
And so
them.
Becca,
I should dox them.
yes.
Et cetera, et cetera.
And so Becca and I are now going to work together to source a stan list for this podcast.
That's very
And so Becca and I have both come up with a list of 10 things that we want to stan. However, since Becca and I are spiritually aligned to a sometimes distressing extent, I had the idea of each of us coming up with an alternate list of 10 things. So if at any point Becca or I say something that was on the other person's list, then we can go and just switch something real quick from our alternate list. And so Becca and I have each come with our list of 10 things, and now these can not only be people, they can also be places, things, ideas,
activities.
We want to push the idea of what stan culture is, the types of things we can stan.
Yeah.
And so
because you know what? Instead of those K-pop videos under every single trending tweet I see, I want to see videos of people making a sandwich. I want to see sandwich stands out here.
Yeah, that is or people who stand the process of making a sandwich.
Exactly. So that's really the goal behind this, is to see that change in our metaverse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so by the end of this podcast, we will have a list of at least 20 things. Mm-hmm. We might add more through the course of our conversation. But I am very excited by this. And
I'm so excited.
Becca, I would like you to do the honors. Would you please give me your first entry on the stand list?
Okay. My first entry.
Actually, the first entry.
Wow. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Okay. Well, I hope this honors you. I don't think it will. But my first entry is cold brew.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great that's a great place to start.
It would be remiss if, especially during Pride, I didn't mention what fuels the gays, you know? And that's cold brew. Mm-hmm. I can confidently say I don't know if we would have gotten marriage equality without cold brew. What were those lawyers drinking?
Literally.
Has anyone looked into that? Cold brew. So I just think it's the best beverage, and I think it deserves to be on our stand list.
Yeah, and I've had my own history with iced coffee.
Yeah, complicated maybe.
I'm going to say it. I'm going to say something super controversial. I do, under perfect conditions, I would drink a hot coffee over an iced coffee, and it's something that I not only identify with my generation on, but also queer communities at large, because I feel like everybody's all about iced coffee these days. But I have grown to appreciate iced coffee, and I have grown to appreciate cold brew. And so I'm
so
glad
happy for you
that it is being represented on this list.
Thank you so much. Well, Quinn, that leads me to ask you, what is your first entry on the stand list?
So this is a person who Becca and I talked about in our first creative meeting of the podcast, and we said, if we ever get this person on the podcast, we'll end it. Babe, it's over. What else do we have to add? Which is crazy, because it's not like the highest bar we could have possibly set. It's still a pretty high bar.
And I forget who it is, which is crazy.
And that makes this so fun.
I'm so excited.
That's going to make this so fun for me. So, do you want me to give you a hint?
Yeah,
Becca?
I do. Because I'll try and guess it at the same time as you say it.
You're gonna get it right away after the hint I give you. Oh wait, or should I go for this one? So yeah, I started writing it, and it was my memoir, but now it's just my first book. 1, 2, 3. Julia Fox.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't believe. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
The perfect modern celebrity.
She is flawless.
She embodies everything we want this podcast to be.
Everything I want to be.
And being back the individual you want to be. Julia, she's like a comet.
Yeah.
She came so forcefully onto the scene, seemingly out of nowhere. I've never seen the movie Uncut Gems.
Uncut Gems. But I did.
I realized she's a player in that movie, and frankly, I don't need to see it. I love what I see already.
Yeah. No, she is. So I did Google her after watching that movie. So I was like, who is that beautiful person? And that really is like what she's all about, is being the person you have to Google. And there's something, there's a quality in that that's just...
And her Wikipedia page, fascinating. She's born in Italy. She's an Italian girl like myself.
So random. Yeah. No, I love her.
There's something romantic about that right off the bat.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's perfect. I'm so glad.
Yeah. Our first person entering the stand list.
And yeah, who else? All right.
So Becca.
Number 2.
It's now time for your second entry.
Okay. So my second entry is actually something I talk about all the time. It is what I believe to be the modern Renaissance, and that is the year 2014.
Yes.
It was.
Yes.
We have not, everything's been downhill since then, I have to be honest. I don't know if everything was up until then, but it definitely has gone down since then. I can't even express like being a teenager in 2014 on Tumblr, listening to like Lana in the 1975, and then going to see The Fault in Our Stars with my friends and being like, that is the best film that's ever been made. Something
it was the
about
peak
that.
Of cinema.
Yeah. Well, just it's
Boom Clap by Charlie XCX on the radio.
like,
every
come
day.
on. Like
what could be better?
And then Fancy. And it's like, wow. Yeah. So
The chokehold. Yeah.
Incredible. But yeah, 2014 had it all. It was our renaissance.
And it's truly it's the last, if I can also say, it's like it's the last year like pre-Trump, and like it was the age of innocence almost.
We didn't know what was coming, and that's why it was so good.
We had no idea. We were ignorant. We were living in blissful ignorance, and that's my preferred state.
Exactly.
I don't
love
need to know
ignorance.
things.
Nope.
Yeah.
Never have.
With the year 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Well, now we definitely need to do like a deep dive on the year 2014. So maybe we just do, maybe like when we run out of episode ideas, we have like the Stan list. Like we do like Stan list deep dive.
Oh my God. Yeah. When we run out of episodes. Well, now we never will.
We like study the history of cold brew.
And I can tell you, as a coffee master at Starbucks Company, I can tell you the history of cold brew.
You can say a lot about the topic.
Yeah. Well, Quinn, number 2 for you.
Number 2 is another person.
Okay.
Is it the last person I have? No. It's the second of 3 people on my list. We talked about her extensively on our second episode. She's a seminal part of Becca and I's friendship. The one and only Kesha.
Yep.
She had to be here. Because I very much started making my list about things like, oh, what do I want on it? What would be kind of like the funniest? But then I genuinely pivoted it to, okay, like if this is Becca and I's product, like what are things that represent our relationship?
Yeah. Yep.
And so Kesha had to be on it.
I'm so glad that you viewed it that way. Yeah.
We talked about the Kesha concert. Again, like you said, Kesha, formative pop artist for people our age.
The best. I feel like
it was really
if when you were 9 or 10 and you didn't make your own music video to TikTok, like what were you doing?
You missed out on something.
Yeah.
If you, like I was listening to the song Sleazy the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Babe, I was off book on that song. Like you said, 9 or 10.
Easy. Yeah.
I was singing Beat So Fat Gonna Make Me Come over to your place.
And that's how children should be raised.
And that is what we should be showing the youth of America.
Kesha's history, exactly.
Kesha is history. She's American history.
I'm so glad she's on the Stan list. As you may remember, me and my roommate did perform at a party a choreographed dance to Grow a Pair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so Kesha is a huge part of my life. I'm so glad you filled her in here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, 4 people in, or 4 things in.
4 things in.
4 entries, I'll say.
Yeah. What a great start.
And so, oh wait, I guess I just looked at my list again, and I think I have to replace something because. Okay, we'll talk about it when we get to it.
Okay,
Becca,
interesting.
What is your third entry?
My third entry. I almost put this person on the list themselves, but I decided to specify. My third entry is the Sweetener era of Ariana Grande. I think that is her 2014.
Her renaissance.
Her renaissance. Because
yeah.
It was truly a magical time. Like her being bleach blonde. At the time I was bleach blonde. It was the summer. I was like the happiest I've ever been. And like Ariana is killing it. I was obsessed with her. Obsessed with her. I'm still obsessed with her. But the Sweetener era just has something so special. Also, yeah, Pete Davidson was involved in that. but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was entertaining.
Pete Davidson is a great song.
It's one of her best songs. I know. I mean, so it doesn't
like
upset
actually
me.
a very good song.
It's fantastic.
And Sweetener does really hold up.
It's phenomenal, and it's produced
it's
by
a great album.
Pharrell. Like,
Mm-hmm.
such interesting sound was coming out of that album, and it's truly amazing.
Every time I sing that song to myself at least once a week, I have to say. All these years
Literally,
later.
it's truly no skip.
Yeah.
Don't even don't say you're gonna skip Borderline and Blazed. Don't say.
I was not gonna say that. I was gonna say I'm skipping The Light Is Coming anytime it goes on. And maybe that's my ignorance. Maybe that's my ignorance from when I listen to the album. I will say I haven't revisited Sweetener in its entirety in a little while, and so
my mouth is still literally open.
And so I'm not going to speak ill of something on the stand list, because that's not allowed now. We're not allowed to criticize these documents anymore after they're on the stand list. But
wow,
I'm just saying it might not be on my playlist of Ariana Grande music, which is basically her discography minus all the tracks I don't like.
Okay.
Would you also take issue if I hypothetically said that Thank You Next is a better album than Sweetener? And that's just hypothetical. That's not reflecting what I think. That's not.
So no. So no, because like I've toyed with that idea, but it's truly the time period of my life that makes Sweetener better. But Thank You Next is an incredible album. If you said Positions, I would be like,
I understand that.
Whoa. But yeah, Thank You Next is. You could even say Dangerous Woman, and I would understand that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
I always compare Dangerous Woman to Born This Way, and that I feel like Dangerous Woman is like the first thought.
Mm-hmm.
But something I love in an album is cohesion.
Yeah.
And that's something that I will boldly say neither Dangerous Woman or Born This Way by Lady Gaga have in the way that I enjoy.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that.
I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Because that's going to make a lot of people mad.
No, I think that's fair. Okay, well...
But speaking of albums...
Yeah.
I have... So, first of all, my third entry was coffee, but since Becca so boldly put cold brew as the very first entry on our stand list, I have had to go to the list. I've had to go to the alternates.
All right, I'm excited.
This actually was on the original list that I had at the beginning of Becca and I's recording session, but then I wanted to play a game with Becca wherein we named like the first thing and saw if we said the same first thing at first, and that to me was going to be Julia Fox. And Becca
forgot.
did not remember that we ever talked about that, and so I'm very happy that I changed directions.
Good.
But this is an album that Becca and I talk a lot about, that we will talk a lot about. It's a little bit more contemporary than some of the other things we've talked about on the list so far. And it is the 2020 album, Plastic Hearts by Miley Cyrus.
You know what? I didn't put it because I knew you would. Yeah.
And there were a couple things I didn't put because I was like, I'm pretty sure Becca will have this.
We each put an album from an artist with our zodiac sign. I think that's also very telling of who we are as people.
Yeah.
But Plastic Hearts is, you know what? Why don't you talk about it? Because I can't think my thoughts about it.
As you said when we talked about Matilda by Harry Styles, and I have repeated to myself many times this week, I can't even talk about it. It's an amazing album. Like, I talk about, because you talked about Sweetener being like a sense memory of like a specific time in your life. So it's finals week, the first semester back to school after COVID. Yeah. Our university did this dumb thing where there wasn't a Thanksgiving break. And so basically our semester ended before Thanksgiving, but grades weren't due. And finals was like the week after Thanksgiving. And so like I was still doing things like over Thanksgiving with my family and fully felt like I like couldn't enjoy like Thanksgiving because I had final assignments like hanging over my head.
Mm-hmm.
But something I did so thoroughly enjoy about that weekend was the Plastic Hearts album. I remember turning it on. My mom and my brother were watching Queen's Gambit. I could not care less because I am listening to, first, you have What the Fuck Do I Know?
Oh, what an opener. Oh my God. What an opener.
No, okay. So when it comes to albums that came out from a crazy place with 3 tracks, I think of Plastic Hearts and I think of Speak Now by Taylor Swift. Plastic Hearts, you have What the Fuck Do I Know? You have Plastic Hearts, the title track right after that. And then you have Angels Like You.
Angels Like You. Sick and Twisted.
Actually, it's not my best song ever. I'm going to call myself out on it right now. I'm putting it on my best song ever playlist because it's not currently on there. And it fully, if you told me it's the best song, much like Domino, I think it has one of the best cases.
It's actually have body chills right now.
Yeah.
Thinking about this album.
Yeah, you do.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, and something that makes it even more, that it needs a place on the stand list is because it did not get the recognition it deserves.
Literally. And the fact that she Billy Idol is on this album.
Joan Jett
is on this. Like, are you guys crazy?
Yeah.
Why wasn't anyone listening to it? Oh my God.
And even with those amazing features, the solo tracks are the best ones on the album.
That is also true.
Oh, and it was during the cover era where she was like, she had just come off of Plastic, like Heart of Glass. Like she had come off of like Heart of Glass being like the biggest song in America, her cover of it.
Yeah.
And then even better, if you ask me, or something I listen to more, is her cover of Zombie by the Cranberries.
Ooh, yeah. She's she's such a good performer that everything she covers is just so, like, it's phenomenal.
And it's nice because Miley Cyrus, because we've, like, grown up with Miley Cyrus almost. She's a little bit older than us, but I remember vividly sitting on the floor of my neighbor's living room and watching the first episode of Hannah Montana. And, like, I have this theory that, like, because of that, we're all, like, indoctrinated to, like, enjoy her voice.
Mm-hmm.
And, like...
I believe that.
Root for her for a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
Or to a certain extent. And it felt nice because it's, like, this person who's always been, like, uber talented has finally found the thing where it's, like, holy shit, like, this is what they need to be doing.
Yeah. Like,
singing rock music, doing, you know... And Attention, which is kind of like the live album she released earlier this year, which has a lot of Plastic Hearts on it, as well as a bunch of other covers. Mm-hmm. A lot of people were talking about her Like a Virgin cover. A lot of people were saying it was better than the original version. You know, you have your opinion on that kind of thing. But yeah, but that's Plastic Hearts. It's a big part of the stand list.
I'm so glad that you put that there. All right. Well.
And so, Becca, where do we go from here?
Well, speaking of music, my 4th entry is very general, but I feel like it should be nodded to, and that's 2000s pop.
Yeah.
So we have like Britney. I'm including Mariah in that. We have all the girl bands that were happening then, like the random like C'est La Vie and stuff like that. Like, you know, everything that was going on. I think, also, I regularly listen to songs from the Cheetah Girls because they're on my 2000s playlist.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. Like, everything.
And they were a big part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's genuinely fabulous. I feel like it also is like a little time capsule of like what my mom was listening to when I was like, she was like raising me. So there's something sweet there.
No, and it's like somebody else who we might discuss as we go through the stand list, Phoebe Bridgers. I know the end when she has the lyric about some America First rap country song. Like, vividly, like some of the most nostalgic songs to me are like the country rock, country pop songs that like my parents listened to growing up. If you play a Sugarland song, if you play Baby Girl by Sugarland
this house gonna go
me,
crazy.
I might start crying.
Wow.
I might start crying. Like Jennifer Nettles, like there are certain people whose voices feel like a warm blanket. I'm thinking of two. One, Jennifer Nettles. Second, Sarah Jessica Parker.
Sarah Jessica Parker?
Yeah.
Does she sing?
No, like not her, like,
just
but, like
her
her
talking
speaking
voice.
voice.
Oh, okay.
Her speaking voice.
I see.
There's something about her speaking voice. I was watching her Vogue thing, and she did like one of those Vogue, like looking back at like 20 years of looks or whatever. Mm-hmm. And like I just realized, I'm like, oh, this woman is like, oh, her voice is like butter.
Oh, interesting.
Because Sex and the City is like huge for me.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and it's like it's being children who both of us were born in the year 2000, Y2K, if you will. We ourselves were Y2K slays.
Identifying.
It's just like our first conception of music.
Yeah, and I'm so proud to be raised by a woman who is a Britney stan.
Yeah.
Like the fact that
That's
my
such a
mom,
flex.
like when Britney was going through her, like the tough periods of her life, my mom was right there by her, buying Fantasy and spraying it on her body. Yeah.
Wait, may I ask how old your mom is?
So I would love for you to guess.
Well, now because you said Britney, I'm thinking she's a little bit younger than my parents. Unless she's super freaking cool. I'm going to say my bestie girl is... Oh, but you're also the oldest child.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say my bestie girl is 45.
That is a nice guess, but she is 51.
Sure.
It's actually a fun fact. She's very youthful in her, like...
Yeah.
Her personality. So, and she also looks great. She is like...
And your mom is very much like early 2000s. Like the few times I have seen her, it's been like, it gives early 2000s.
Like Victoria's Secret, she still buys like the stuff from their catalog. She is slaying. That is one thing she's going to do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's actually funny because my roommate thought for a while that my mom was like a teen mom. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, she was a full woman when she had me, but crazy. But yeah,
because my parents, it was funny. I was actually talking to my friends about this, but like my parents like exposed me to all this cool music, but they're much more like they graduated high school in like 81, and they were in college like in like the mid 80s, and so they were like, you know, like my mom remembers like going to like the clubs underage when she was in high school and listening to like Donna Summer and all that kind of stuff. And so like,
wow, that's cool.
Like that's my dad raised me on like classic rock and stuff like that. Like I remember listening to AC/DC and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's more typical for like people our age.
But I'm also realizing people's parents like don't expose them to culture.
Really?
Like my friend Ian, and Ian, I hope you're listening, knows nothing. I was quizzing him on things. I played the song Believe by Cher for him, and I said, Ian, who sings this song? And he goes, Celine Dion.
Ian, babe.
What's going on there?
Oh my God.
And it's like, because his parents weren't like big like music fans or whatever, and it's like, that's a crazy thought to me.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
Wow. Well, Quinn, can I hear your fourth entry?
This is a recent thing that we are standing in our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the viewpoints, but more specifically even the vocal viewpoints.
Oh my God.
This is definitely one we're going to have to explain a little bit more.
Okay,
but,
yeah.
Becca, do you want to talk about the viewpoints, the vocal viewpoints, your experiences with them?
Of course. So viewpoints, actors in the room probably know that viewpoints is basically a warm-up exercise and like I wouldn't call it bonding, but like an awareness exercise, I guess, and like collaboration.
Ensemble building, you could say.
Yeah. Where basically you connect your body to like other elements of existence, I would say, and basically like walk around for a little bit, and then you add like you add different like tempo, you add duration, you add like shape into that. So it gives you the ability as you move and you continue to do viewpoints to like mess around with like other people in the ensemble. But vocal viewpoints is where you sit in a circle, close your freaking eyes, and use noise instead of movement.
Yeah.
It is literally a spiritual psychedelic experience. I did admit in class after we did it, I hallucinated. I hallucinated us all as little cartoon bugs making noises to each other.
Yeah. And so it's very much like, ooh, 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 ha, ha, ha.
Hey,
Ooh,
wow,
wow.
ooh, 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 ooh.
Like you do things like that.
Yeah. The whole time. For like probably we could have been in there for like an hour and a half. I would have no idea.
Oh yeah, people do viewpoints for like long times.
Yeah,
hours.
So I guess you also identified with it being like really enjoyable for you.
Yeah, I love viewpoints. I truly love like. Because we were in college and, like, for, like, our voice and movement class, which is the time where we most got to, like, do it together, it was, like, we just went there and, like, played and, like, made, like, scenes and stuff. It's also very popular for, like, devising work or, like, creating your own work. And it was just, like, my friends would be like, oh, I have, like, a chemistry exam. Oh, I have, you know, an essay due. And I'm like... I get to go walk around and probably like sacrifice somebody.
Yeah.
We get to throw a ball around. There was one where we like our instructor said there's like a ball, but it wasn't like a real ball. It was an imaginary ball.
Energy ball.
An energy ball, and like every person who got the ball like gave it a different experience. And when I got the ball, I fully started killing people with it.
Yeah. Quinn started using that ball to literally shoot people down with power. Yeah, it was awesome.
And it's like, and it was just fun. It's like you can go to like a liminal space. And you're right, it can be very like hallucinogenic. It's very like, it's like repetitive. It allows you to get out of your head in a way that like, I'm somebody who like meditates and stuff like that. And so like, it's similar in that way where it allows you to like connect to something, to get out of like the thinking mind and just... like exist and go off impulses and stuff like that.
It's truly amazing. I was like, how do I teach all my friends what viewpoints are and then force them to
do it together?
Just do it. But yeah, it's fabulous. Oh, I'm so glad you put that there. This is going great.
With that, we now have 10 things on the list.
Oh my god, halfway there.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so Becca, where are we going?
All right, number 5. We are actually going somewhere with this one, and that is to Australia. Australia is on the stain list. To all our Australian listeners, we're so excited to have you here today. Basically,
yes, you are special to the MPJCU.
Yes.
We love our...
we love our Australian fans.
Aussie fans. Aussie, oi, oi, oi.
Yeah,
Kia ora, you know, all of that.
Everything, yeah. But basically, I've always been obsessed with Australia. And actually, a fun fact, I hate to mention my mother again, but...
Do it.
She recently went to Australia a couple of years ago, actually, before COVID.
Okay.
But we collectively were obsessed with Australia. And one time she was like, Becca, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go? And I was like, Australia. Like, the water, everything, like the culture, everything. She goes, we're going. I was like, what? Are you kidding? I'm so excited. She goes, oh no, not you. Me and your stepdad are going. I was like, she needs to work on her presenting information. So she got me.
Oh,
and
my
then
God.
When she was there,
everything I hear about this woman, I'm like, I'm obsessed.
She truly is the moment. There's not a dull moment around her. But
literally,
then she went and she met our favorite we watched this reality show called Bondi Rescue about the lifeguards on Bondi Beach, and fabulous show, by the way. It's like on Netflix. And she met our favorite lifeguard and got a photo with him. Crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love everything about Australia, the outback, the ocean, the accent. I think it's cool.
Yeah, something about the Australian accent in particular, it's like few things get me more riled up. And similar to you, someone close in my life, one of my very good friends went to Australia when we were in high school, and I was like, well, what's going on with that? Why can't I come?
Yeah.
So it's a place I hope to visit. My mom did a very similar thing, come to think of it, because for my cousin's 21st birthday, my aunt took her to Mykonos.
Oh my gosh.
And Greece is like high on my like list of places I want to go and visit. I love the Mediterranean as a concept.
Yeah.
And I like didn't catch the invite for the trip, even though I was available.
Crazy.
Actually, I kind of wasn't, because we had just gone to Ireland and like I had to work and stuff like that. But like, if I got offered a trip to Greece, you know, I might have had to take it. Might have had to go. And so, but like, my mom, like, I didn't catch an invite basically, and I was kind of like, and then once my mom gets over there, what does she text me? But wish you were here. I'm like, well, where was that energy before you got on the plane? Yeah, literally.
Would have been nice.
Girl, I would have come.
Wow.
I would have loved it. But anyway.
Wow. All right.
Okay.
Well, Quinn, where are we going next?
Next on my list, I think I low-key deleted. Oh, I like skipped over things on my list. I like jumped ahead on my list.
Okay.
We'll go with it. And the next thing listed on my list, now that I'm back in the proper place, wigs. We are standing wigs on this podcast, wigs in all forms.
I love wigs.
We love wigs. We love wigs. We love wigs for the aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
We love them for the practicality sometimes.
Yeah, I have...
Becca is someone who has found new and inventive way to use wigs.
I briefly mentioned that one time it was raining outside and I had somewhere to be, and I don't own an umbrella, so instead I put on a fucking wig.
Yeah.
And I went to the place.
And that's what you do. It's innovation that excites.
Exactly. And my head didn't get wet.
Yeah, and we're just fans. Like there are so many things that wigs are a part of, you know. The RuPaul's Drag Race franchise.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
What other famous wigs in history? Any Nicole Kidman movie. Me and the Drag Seed.
Yeah.
There were wigs every step of the way. And so we love me as Miley Cyrus on Halloween.
Absolutely.
I have always had a fascination with hair. Like, ever since I was a child, I've always loved hair. Like, especially hair on, like, the top of the head.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I would, like, play with my mom's hair in childhood and just be like, oh, I love this.
Something about this.
Something about this. And I just find, like, long hair, like, so beautiful, even to this day. But, you know, even short wigs, you know, I'm a big fan of the series on HBO called Legendary, which is like a voguing competition. And I watched an episode today where Law Roach was wearing like celebrity stylist Law Roach was wearing like this like quiffed like Ken doll like blonde wig, and it's just like those are even more impressive because there's like, you know, nothing.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Wow.
But wigs. Yeah, we love wigs on this podcast.
Love that.
Not the political party from, like, the olden days of the Americas. Wigs as in, like, the unit that goes on your head.
Yeah.
To give the illusion of hair.
Yes. Write that down.
Yeah. And we love falls, which are, like, wigs that go into your hair, extensions. We love all parts of it, truly.
Yeah, I am one to wear a ponytail extension every now and again.
Yeah, Becca also does have the ponytail extension, famously.
As my foremother, Ariana, has done.
I feel like we're talking a lot about our moms on this episode, but my mom did this. He ordered this thing where it's like a tie. It's like a hair tie, but it has, like, hair on it.
Quinn.
And it
Quinn.
like beefs up her bun.
My
And
mom
I thought it was the
has those. Why do moms do? It's like you're almost there of like actually doing something that would like add. I don't know. It's just not. I don't know. Not the best use of false hair.
Moms are just funny.
They're hilarious.
Yeah. So wait, Becca.
Yep.
What do we have next?
Okay. So this is another like general little thing, but I am standing lilac, lavender, periwinkle, those shades. It's something I've always done. It is just the color that is my soul is that color. And I can't not be happy when I look at something that's like lilac. Oh my goodness. It is so pleasing to me.
Yeah, one of the most, if we're talking about 2000s, one of the most formidable trends in like the early 2010s in terms of hair, going lilac.
Yep. And I agree with it.
Kelly Osbourne sticks out.
Tyler Oakley.
Yeah.
Wow.
Only eclipsed by like the Rihanna red and also Ariana Grande, another entity on the stan list in the stan list universe.
Yeah.
That like red velvet.
That is true.
Yeah, and it's also as queer people and Pride Month, you know, the lavender menace. It's an important color to the community.
Exactly.
Becca is the lavender menace.
You could say so. I would call my wall a periwinkle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like my water bottle is lilac to me. Yeah. No, just everything in my life I want to be those colors.
Yeah, I want to. Oh my gosh. I'm going to show something that's right off camera. I just got a new bullet journal for my
cute
thing, and it's like I would say it's like periwinkle.
And it's also holographic, which is the best. Or is that a sticker?
It's a sticker on it. It says Butch in like the Barbie font.
Cute. I love it.
And so yeah, it's a power color for me right now.
I'm so glad. Again,
and it also goes so well with one of my favorite colors.
Green. Yeah.
Green and purple, like not like Hulk green and purple, but like if you get like a pistachio with like a lilac.
I'm shaking my ass. Exactly.
Like no better combination in terms of colors.
I think that's why Daphne is my favorite also.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And the red hair. Oh
like,
yeah.
Come on.
She had it all going on.
Yeah.
She truly had it all going on.
Exactly. Honorable mention, Daphne. All right.
So something that is spiritually connected to early 2000s music.
Okay.
Which is on the stan list. Is the genre of hyperpop, which is not at large on the stan list yet, depending on what Becca might have. But I will say, one of the two seminal hyperpop documents, one of which is The Oil of Every Pearl's Uninsides, a wonderful Sophie record, but unfortunately, R.I.P. Sophie, but not on the stan list at this moment. But what is going to be on the stan list is the 2017 mixtape by Charlie XCX, Pop 2. Becca is blocking her mic.
So I didn't write it down because I knew you would. It is Pop 2 is it's the sweetener era of Charlie.
Yeah.
Like Pop 2 is so good. Oh my god. And
it's
again,
amazing.
As we mentioned,
I'm pulling up the track list right now.
Porsche is kind of how we got kicked off. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. Pop 2 is a super experimental like mixtape by Charlie XCX that she produced with A.G. Cook, Sophie, or I don't know if Sophie produced on it, but I'm pretty sure A.G. Cook is on it.
Yeah.
But it's just like it really like many people really credit it with like starting hyperpop off. It's not an album I really knew intimately until like my first year of college. But then when I finally started listening to it, I was like, where has this been all my life?
Exactly.
It's like there's just so many amazing songs on it. Tears by featuring Caroline Polachek. Caroline Polachek, somebody who Becca and I admire very much, especially Becca.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the best songs.
It's fantastic. Go listen right now. Pause the podcast
listen right now.
and go listen.
Yeah, if you don't know, if you've never listened to Pop 2, do it. It's going to be weird at first, especially if you're not somebody who listens to
hyperpop, but it's a great ease
hyperpop.
in, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
Because it's not like you have a long time before you get to track 10.
Mm-hmm. Which is, yeah, you might be scared, but that's fine.
Yeah. I truly, because like the first two songs, like Backseat, featuring Carly Rae Jepsen, another one of my idols.
Yeah.
It's like a good ease in and then out of my head. And then you get to Lucky, where things do start to get a little, you know, I think
I'm tearing up
when it gets
right
to
now.
that part of the song, but it's like, and then I Got It.
I got it. Yeah.
Cupcake's verse on I Got It, like,
Crazy.
it should have won a Pulitzer Prize.
I think so too.
Wait, what is it called? What is it? Yellow tape around my body, but not measuring waistlines.
Like, she's so smart.
Like, oh my god, it's amazing. And then Fembot.
So good.
I remember when I listened to like the Fembot for the first time when there's like a big sound of like like an engine failure sound, and I was like, is my phone broken? Like what's going on there? It was just the song.
Yeah.
I have Becca, something Becca knows about me, but the audience might not know yet, is I am like a thinker of drag numbers, like numbers that need to be performed by drag queens. Mm-hmm. One of my best ideas for a drag number is to perform Fembot as Sophia the Robot.
Whoa. That would be so good.
And like, I do want to figure out how to rig it so like at some point, like during that, like like there's just like how I would do it is it would be very much like robotic, and then like something would happen where like water, because I fantasize about pouring like a Brita pitcher on Sophia the Robot's like head, like the motherboard or whatever.
Yeah.
And like it would be something like that. And then, like, I would explode, but then that would, like, free me from, like, the constraints of being a robot.
And guys, this is all trademarked.
Yeah,
You
no,
can't
do
do
not
this.
steal my intellectual property. We literally have this as evidence. If I see people doing this number without my consent, there's going to be a problem, and we will see you in court.
Yeah.
We're making crazy money off this podcast, so we have a lot of money for our legal war chest.
We got money to burn, babe.
Yeah. And I'll Unlock It. Also a seminal document. And then, of course, track 10, which Charlie would then go on to, like, refashion to Blame It On Your Love featuring Lizzo. Mm-hmm. And track 10 is just, like,
so good.
Sorry you blame it on your love.
I also really associate, like, I know Boys is not on Pop 2. But because I believe it was just a single, like, in my brain, it, like, lumps in, and so I, like, associate it with Pop 2, which is also a great song, Boys.
Yeah, it was, and Boys has been in, like, a lot of movies. It's been in at least 2.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean a lot.
Yeah. And
because I just watched the new Fire Island movie on Hulu, which everybody should go watch. It's an amazing movie.
I haven't seen it yet.
And they also used it, and then also it was in Promising Young Woman, I believe, even though I have not seen that movie.
I think it was in that movie. Yeah.
Or it was on the soundtrack. I don't know. But Boys also, the Boys music video, I can see the Boys music video being on this list.
It's really good.
might have that.
Addendum.
But yeah.
Honorable mention.
Okay,
at
Becca.
least. All right.
What is up next? What have you brought to the table? What have you concocted for us?
This one's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
It's the moon.
Yeah.
Because I love this bitch for real. Something about the moon.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, she's crazy, guys. She's so big. Like, what?
Yeah.
She's crazy. I can't even wrap my mind around how the moon controls the tides. And yeah, people have tried to explain it to me in like a sciencey way. No, let me just believe that she's in love with the ocean. Like
it was like when I tried to figure out how the atomic bomb works or how like nuclear energy works. Like it's
just not worth
that's
it.
Gonna ever...
Yeah, it's not going to click. So just let me believe my little thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I literally love the moon so much. I try to look at her at like every night when she's, you know, visible. Yeah, I love her so much. As a Cancer, I am ruled by the moon. Yeah,
that's really
so. Yeah,
and I feel as a Libra moon, my emotional life is very complex.
Yeah,
and because Becca has seen, and we are teasing the astrological deep dive, which will be one of our upcoming episodes.
Of course, yeah.
But it is one of the things that, because when you like people look at my chart, and whenever I read my chart, I'm like my chart is always saying, because like all my chart is fire or air signs. I don't have any like earth or water. I have one earth placement. I do not have any water placements.
Yeah.
And so I should be like this disconnected, like non-emotional person, but I would say I'm pretty emotional.
Yeah.
And I think my Libra moon is what gives me that emotional self. And so the fact that the moon saw the rest of my chart and was like, we need to be in Libra at the time of Quinn's birth. So
organize that
everything aligns so that they are, you know, an emotionally okay person and that they seek this emotional balance in their life. I cannot thank her enough for that.
Yeah. She thought about that, and that's good.
Yeah.
But I also think it's interesting. I mean, we'll talk about this more when in the astral, but I am pretty much solely water. So, you know, we find balance in each other that way. And the moon helps us out.
Yeah. And like how many times in your life have you looked at the moon?
Exactly.
And when's the last time you thanked the moon?
I dance underneath her. I sing to her. I like fully like I am a crazy moon woman. Like I do the moon water thing. I charge my crystals in the moonlight.
Yeah.
I literally sing to her. Like I love staring at her. I get a crick in my neck every single day.
Have you ever looked at the theories about where the moon came from?
No.
There are just multiple theories about where some people think it was like a part of Earth at one point and it like lifted out of the water.
Oh yeah.
Other people think it was just like a meteorite that came into our orbit randomly and she kind of just stuck.
Yeah.
But she came from somewhere.
Yeah. No, I actually have. And
there's also that little bit of mystery.
Yeah, something about her.
Like, where does she come from?
The dark side, like, you know, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
What more can be said?
So, yeah.
All right, Quinn.
So, Becca, the next entry on the list is something I'm excited about. It's something Becca uses every day. It's something I have never used, but I have to pay homage because it is such an essential part of my bestie's life. My 7th entry onto the stand list is the Dexcom.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm so happy!
Yeah,
Yes!
the Dexcom.
Oh my god.
So Becca, explain to those uninitiated what the Dexcom is.
Yeah, so the Dexcom is a continuous glucose monitor. So you probably know about diabetics, either type 1 or 2, have to prick their finger to see their blood sugar. The Dexcom does this for you. You insert it once every 10 days, and it will tell you every 5 minutes what your blood sugar is. And it also is smart enough to give you like trends. So it gives you arrows about what your blood sugar is going to do in the next 30 minutes. It's basically the best thing for diabetes management. And also she's cute, and I actually can show you her because I have her on my arm today.
Becca also styles her Dexcom.
Well, so usually I have like cow print stickers, but today she's plain, but she looks so cute.
Yeah,
and
she does.
She's so small and flat, like the size of a quarter. Oh my god. And also famously used by Nick Jonas as well.
Yeah.
And I just found out one of the Hyam sisters, the oldest Hyam sister.
Esty?
Yes. She's type 1 and uses the Dexcom.
Might have to change the name to Esty-Heim disease.
Honestly, I'm thinking about it. Like,
but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Quinn.
And yeah, I remember there was a time over like our last semester where your Dexcom was like broken.
Yeah.
And like you were like, I saw you and you're like, oh, my fingers. And it's like a terrible, like my dad's type 2 diabetic, and that's something I've like seen him deal with my whole life. And so like it is truly like crazy.
Yeah.
That like you have to like,
Yeah.
I am somebody who's given blood, and I always hate that part.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
I
just
couldn't imagine having to do it like
all the time.
all the time.
Yeah, especially like as someone who also is very anxious, like I would want to do it more than is normal. So then I get like bruises and like calluses and stuff. So it's just so much better that I get to know all the time. Aw.
Yeah.
Quinn, that was so thoughtful.
Yeah. I remember one time we were sitting at dinner and a Dexcom commercial was on. I was like, yeah.
Kismet.
Kismet.
Yeah.
Becca, we're nearing the end of the list.
I'm so excited. Okay. Well, my number 8, the great 8, is, and this is kind of out of left field, but I want to honor this really important job, and that's exterminators. Because one thing I hate, one thing I do not stand, bugs and pests.
Wow.
Yeah, I love nature.
This is out of left field.
But I cannot deal with bugs in my life. So I need them to be exterminated. I think that it's also like something about like a possible creature in the walls really does freak me out.
Something you can't see.
No. So exterminate it. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey. Yeah.
Yeah. I am like, I have reached a hippy dippy place in my life where I like really try not to kill bugs because I'm like, it's their one chance at life. What if somebody had just squashed me? Would I like that?
Yeah.
So, no, I'm not going to do that to my friend the bug. However, I have had I'm going back on my morals, and I'm really morally depraved this week because I have had a little bit of a fruit fly problem. And I did get some apple cider vinegar out of my thing. Said, put a little covering over it, poke some holes in it, and I got like 20 dead flies sitting in that right now.
Yeah. You just have
and
like.
So maybe I'm not as committed, and in my own way this week, I'm an exterminator.
So I stan you. That's what I do. No, I like would never go out of my way to kill a bug. And like I won't like freak out if I'm like on a walk. If I'm in their territory, I would never kill like outside, no. In my house, I gotta kill that bug. And that's
like
when,
they don't pay rent.
Exactly. I don't pay rent either.
Not to take it to a capitalist place, but like
they are getting evicted.
Not to take it to a capitalist place, but you know,
I will evict them. Yeah.
It's just the conditions we're living under.
Exactly.
Okay.
The housing crisis. Quinn, what's next?
Well, Becca, the next entry is going to be a little niche.
All right.
For our viewers who know us personally, it's going to be like, wow, love that this was included because it's pretty widely beloved among our local community here in Pittsburgh, more specifically in Oakland, I will say.
Okay.
But to those uninitiated, you won't know what we're going to talk about for a couple minutes, but just, you know, we'll describe it to you. Next thing on my list, of course, is Hemingway's Cafe. Affectionately referred to as most of its patrons as Hems. Which is a bar, slash restaurant, but mostly bar, in Oakland, the neighborhood where Becca and I went to school in Pittsburgh. And yeah, they're known for their shot pitchers. They have $5 shot pitchers, like specials every night of the week. And so there's like one shot pitcher that's like $5. And, you know, it's just a pitcher of alcohol.
Yeah.
And you can drink cheaply. You can go and get a $5 Long Island iced tea that's like this big. And, you know.
Kick it.
So yeah, Becca.
It's like
what is your experience with Hemingway's?
I love Hems.
I can't call it Hemingway's.
At Hemingway's Cafe. It is I think it's like the perfect mix of chill and like enough people that it feels like busy and bustling and like part of I don't feel left out when I go there of like the night. And they also, I will say though, on my last night at Hems, I attempted to attend the karaoke, but it got so busy they had to shut the karaoke down because there was too many people there that the servers couldn't walk. Like had no pathway. So
That's
they had to shut the
crazy.
karaoke down and basically like everyone left then. But yeah. Usually it's not like that though. And it's good.
Yeah. It gets kind of I'm always there as like a first destination in the night.
Yeah.
It's weird. Becca and I have not actually been there together a whole bunch.
Yeah, I've like run into you there though.
We've run into each other there a couple times. But famously Becca came in as the nun.
Yeah. In a group of nuns.
Yeah, and I was with
spotted
my
by
other
Quinn.
friends and I was like, oh my god, that's Becca. I think it might have actually been my friend Valerie who first was like, Quinn, that's Becca. And I was like, what? And I'd look and Becca is a nun with bleached eyebrows.
Yeah, I was.
On a random, like, Friday night.
Yeah. No, it was for my friend's birthday and she requested to become his nuns, so I had to deliver. And yeah, seeing you...
And you did it flawlessly.
Thank you so much. But yeah, seeing
Yeah.
you see me as a nun was pretty priceless, I would say.
Top moment, yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, Hemingway's Cafe. Made it on the list.
Love it. All right. Well, my number 9 is rainbows. So topical.
Yeah.
I think it's just they truly are just magical, like to truly see them.
Yeah.
And I have seen full ones before where like I see the bottom and I see the end. And I see the other bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I see the pot of gold.
The pot of gold too. But yeah, I truly love them. I feel like if I ever were to see the Aurora Borealis, like it would be that. It would be like rainbow times 30, you know?
Yeah.
To like, truly see it. But
I can imagine.
I truly can't. Like it's amazing.
Live podcast at the Aurora Borealis.
We're like, hey guys, we can barely talk because it's so cold. Checking in. All right, but yeah, that's my 9.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes as a queer person, I feel so stereotypical being like, I love rainbows, but like they're truly like such a good natural phenomenon.
Yeah, they're amazing. My favorite
Like, whenever
weather.
you see a rainbow, you're like,
Literally, no one's not going to take a photo of it.
no, and literally, and like when you go out and it's like sunny after it had just rained and there's not a rainbow, it's like you're disappointed.
Exactly.
It's like, what do we do this all for then?
Exactly.
And there are amazing songs about rainbows. Rainbows by Casey Musgraves.
I was just going to say, the art they have
Rainbow by
inspired.
Kesha.
Oh, come on.
Fun story about Rainbow by Kesha real quick. I led, as we talked about, I went to Catholic school for high school, and we had like a religious retreat that was a part of it, and each of our like each of the student leaders gave like a talk, and my close friend, who was actually my boyfriend at the time, he was looking for a song for his speech, and I read it and I go, Rainbow by Kesha.
Yeah.
And he listened to the song then, and he was like, "You're right." And I was like,
this,
"Yeah." And he didn't even know the
I
song
agree.
then.
Wow.
And then when we were at the Kesha concert, I recorded her saying "Rainbow" and sent it to him.
Aw.
And so, yeah,
Cute. I didn't know that.
amazing song.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
wow. And "Somewhere Over the Rainbow," one of the best songs.
Yeah. Done.
One of the
time
most
and
prolific
time
songs,
again.
even.
I would say so.
Yeah. Okay.
Quinn, what's 9?
My 9th entry, someone Becca knows even better than I do. But someone who will always be impactful to our relationship. And someone, again, a lot of the viewers aren't going to know, but like, something about my art is it doesn't have to be accessible.
Yeah.
And so 9th on my personal stand list and 18th overall, David Serta. Who famously wrote the play, which served as Becca's directorial debut.
Never
The
asked.
drag scene, which we have talked about on this. But seeing Becca's response is really something me. But yeah, David Serta is a playwright. He is a theater artist in Chicago. And
Never ever did I expect that.
no, I really thought about it. I'm like, I'm gonna get her with this one.
And you did. Okay, listen. So I respect him as an artist, like, so much, obviously. But I will say that it was quite hilarious, and I often think about how he came to see our production of The Drag Seed. So honored, all the way from Chicago. Like, first he was texting me, you know, truly incredible experience. He did say to Quinn and I, follow me on Instagram.
Do you have Instagram? He
Yeah.
asked me specifically.
Yeah. And then I followed him. Quinn, did you
I did as well.
Have you been followed back?
No.
Not once.
No. I also was not asked to be. I have not yet been asked to be in subsequent productions of The Drag Seed.
This is true. And I've not been asked to direct in Chicago with him.
However, things from our production have been used in other productions. We'll bring her up again, friend of the pod, Nandita Mahesh. Her original compositions for The Drag Seed, Pitt's production of The Drag Seed, have been used at, like...
In Chicago
and... La Mama, right?
And La Mama, yeah. So, New York City walls, babe. My voice.
And man got paid. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
So
a great one. That was a great one.
If you're ever in Chicago, I believe it's Helena Handbag Productions.
Yeah.
You can go and support that company anyway.
Because
he does a lot of fun
funny
stuff.
It's
He
very
also
funny
loves
stuff.
to post
Reface videos.
deep fakes of himself on other people.
And honestly, loves it.
Camp.
I loves it.
It's camp.
It's
yeah.
his whole account. It's perfect.
Yeah, basically.
Like, why not?
And so yeah, David Sirden. So Becca,
Yeah.
we now come to the final thing on your list.
Yes. Okay. This one's also sort of out of left field, but I sort of used my intuition for a lot of this, and this is what was telling me should be my 10th and final entry. This is, shout out to all the dogs who can't bark. Because listen, I love dogs, but sometimes how loud. Okay, sometimes how loud and particularly my dogs are very yippy.
Yeah.
It's very annoying. And so if a dog, and I met one dog who could only basically sort of like breathe heavily, like like exhales, but no barks. I was really like, I vibe with this dog a lot.
Yeah.
So Quinn, you had sort of a visceral reaction of that.
I just things I was not expecting to hear.
Yeah.
You can't even put a list together because you're not expecting to hear them. But immediately I thought of the movie Grown Ups,
Okay.
which I saw 3 times in theaters as a child, and they famously have a dog who they got their vocal cords removed, and it now sounds like a turkey. And not only that, but what made it funnier to me was that is now the second time I've thought about the movie Grown Ups today.
Okay, what was the first?
I forget what I was listening to I was listening to the Sibling Rivalry podcast with Monet Exchange and Bob the Drag Queen, and
Sure.
Monet said something about like, oh, remember when like Adam Sandler used to be like the man in Hollywood, which like I'm like, he has like a multi-million-dollar development deal with Netflix in which he releases movies to Netflix and nobody ever hears about. So like he still very is much like the man, but and then I thought about Grown Ups, which is the Adam Sandler text I'm probably most familiar with.
Me as
Again,
well.
bringing back Adam Sandler, Uncut Gems, Julia Fox. It's
all
connected,
connects.
our stand
It's
list.
all connected.
But as a dog owner, I also do very much identify with this thing of, we have to say it, dogs barking can get really annoying.
Currently, my dog is down there barking right now. And I don't know if the pod is
And-
picking it up, but
We can't hear on the pod? And we're happy about that, ultimately. If you're outside, it's one thing, because the sound has places to go. But when you're indoors...
And it's echoing.
Yeah.
Especially, like, I have
and it's
3 dogs, and if one barks, they're all going to bark.
Speak on it.
So...
And it's something, if you want to get another dog, you have... If you are a singular dog owner and you're like, oh, I want to get my little dog a friend. Does your dog bark? Because...
Times 2.
It's a mom mentality.
They're gonna get in on it. Literally.
It's a whole thing. It's like everybody has to be... And it's like, I don't know if it's... I think it's probably worse because we live in like suburban areas when we're at home, like with our dogs. And so our dogs aren't as socialized with as much noise. And so like anything passes by, dogs are like...
Yip. Yeah.
And it's all 3 of them like in chorus. And then you go and look, nothing.
Literally nothing.
You literally cannot even begin to comprehend what could have possibly elicited this reaction from your dogs.
My one dog, Teddy, who's the smallest one, he is 4 pounds. He barks in the night like he'll stare at something and bark.
It's the worst.
He's so haunted. I'm so over it. If he couldn't bark, I wouldn't be able to tell he was haunted. But now I have to live knowing that. It's a lot.
No, it's the worst thing to be woken up by. It's truly the worst thing to be woken up by, like a dog barking.
Yeah. Well, that's why it was my number 10.
Yeah.
But Quinn, I'm anxious to hear yours.
This one came
Final
to me.
entry.
I've had a little trouble getting to sleep lately, and I think one of the nights I had trouble was because this was somewhere in my subconscious, and it needed to be brought into my conscious because it was one of those moments. Do you ever hear about those people who are like, I keep a notebook by my bed?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I felt that in this moment because I had such a good idea as I was like laying in bed that I'm like, I have to write this down. But like the idiot I am, I pull out my phone, blue light goes into my eyes, and I'm even that much further from sleep. But it is another location that is so seminal to our relationship, Becca, that it needed to be included. And it is, again, something that's not going to be accessible to everybody. But at this point, we don't care. We've established it. So the final thing that will be on this iteration of the stand list, the corner of Oakland Avenue and Bates Street in Oakland. Where Becca and I have spent multiple hours just standing.
Hours. Oh my God.
Hours. That was the original podcast.
Yeah. Literally.
That was the first version of the podcast, really.
I can't believe we also didn't bring this up last episode because it was such a fundamental part of our bonding was standing on the corner of that street for after rehearsal. We would sometimes be there till literally like midnight.
Yeah.
Chit-chatting.
Literally. And neither of our homes are far from there, and we could have very easily just gone to the other's home, but no.
We chose to stand in the street.
And just talk.
Yeah. And usually, like, we would make a full, like, we would be standing across from each other, but we would make a full circle around by, like, through the course of conversation.
And sometimes other people would be there. Sometimes, like, we would see people, and it was, like...
a whole thing.
Yeah. And it's just a seminal spot. It was just, like, our little spot where we just chatted, shot the shit, as it were.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, corner of Oakland and Bates is on the stand list.
Love it.
So, Becca, you didn't have to use any of your alternatives. So
No.
I'm very excited to see what are the 11th through 20th things you were like, okay, this could be on the stand list, but not quite top tier. And then, since we're making our own rules, if there's any that we're like,
super,
we gotta add,
we'll add it. Yeah. So I'll just start rattling them off. Well, okay. So number 1 for my alternates is jukebox musicals. I'm so with it. Love them.
Fair.
I don't think it's overdone. Number 2 is Cancer Women.
Yeah.
I feel a soul bond to them. I think there's not a one I haven't liked. Yeah. And then number 3, Yoga with Adrian.
So this is where I'm like, we need to add.
Yes, yeah. Making yoga accessible for so long now. She truly is just like, I do yoga with her many times a week, and I love it every single time. She's
I have
so
recently,
sweet.
I took, because I got into yoga right before the pandemic, and then in-person yoga classes weren't a thing, and so I go on YouTube.com, and I'm like, who can give me yoga? Baby, Adrienne Mishler.
Every single day.
And her dog, Benji.
Benji?
Who is a dog I've never heard bark, let's say on the record.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We might need I might need
No.
an addendum for Ben. Like, wow. You're so right.
Yeah. I think, yeah. Do we give Benji his own place on the list, or do we just say that, like, as a part of yoga with as a seminal part of yoga with Adrienne?
Like, it's assumed, yeah, that Benji is, you know.
Or I'll when I collate the document that is the stand list, we will put Benji on
A note. Okay.
We will mention him by name because he is such an essential part of the channel.
He really is.
Adrienne's blue healer, Benji. Mm-hmm. He's the best dog.
So cute.
I love him. I have a parasocial relationship. It's truly stronger than many I have with people.
To that dog.
My parasocial relationship to Benji is probably stronger than mine to Adrienne.
I would say so too.
And I think that's by Adrienne's design.
She set us up. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think Adrienne, I could talk about her for such a long time, but I was on a hiatus from like yoga and stuff because my life was very busy, and it was like I was missing a friend. And I very recently, like in the last week, I've been doing yoga. I was sitting down with Adrienne this morning.
There you go.
I did her very new practice that just got released today.
I saw that in my subscription box. I'm gonna have to do that. But yeah.
And I do, like, I always do her monthly challenges to start my year. For the last 3 years I've done them.
I'm doing her 30-day breathe right now. It's like the best.
Changing, yeah, life changing.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Adrienne Mishler, she will be going on.
Okay, good.
Becca, what else is the alternates giving?
Okay, number 4 is avocados.
Mm-hmm.
Just like one of my. Oh my God! I didn't put peanut butter anywhere. I
think we can add it.
Okay, good. For those of you who don't know me or aren't familiar with my lifestyle, I go through at minimum a jar of peanut butter a week. It is
Becca loves peanut butter.
Is my favorite snack, my favorite meal, my favorite ingestible. I truly love it. So I think I'll replace peanut butter with avocados.
And I also love peanut butter.
Good.
My nostalgic breakfast for me is peanut butter toast.
Yes, so good.
Great way to
So
start the
good.
morning.
When the whole Jif salmonella thing happened, you did send me that article.
Yeah.
Among
I wanted to make sure you were
probably
okay.
many people, I got sent that article probably 10 times because so many people know how obsessed with
Your
peanut butter I am.
relationship.
But babes,
Yeah.
organic only. That's what I do. No Jif. So I was safe, which is great. Okay, so I will continue on. Number 5, being basic. I think it's okay. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Be what you are. Like, you
It's okay
always
to like
say,
the things other people like.
exactly. Like, it's fine. We don't have to be so. I hate because contrarians do really bother me. I have like a whole thing.
I do have like a little hipster mindset where I truly like sometimes I'm actively like in a place in my life where I'm trying to check myself being like, why do I hate on people for like enjoying things sometimes?
Yeah.
Like I have to check myself openly. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's good to
like,
do.
Why do I care that people love Sour by Olivia Rodrigo? Like, girl,
Let them live. Exactly.
Yeah.
Number 6, succulents.
Yeah.
So proud
I'm
of
looking
them.
at some right now.
Me as well. I'm so proud that they barely need any water.
Something I'm not doing, watering them.
Never gonna do that. Yeah, exactly.
And they kind of tell me when they need water because they be a little shriveled.
Yeah, they bend a little bit. I'm like, babe, thank you for letting me know. So yeah,
You're giving me signs. You're telling me.
I don't gotta guess. It's perfect.
You can speak to me. Yeah.
So it's my favorite plant. Number 7 is parody movies. I am so on the wave of like scary movie.
Vampires suck.
I saw Vampires Suck in theaters with my mother
I think I did too.
when I was like 8, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so with it. I love parody movies so much. Number 8, pink outfits.
Mm-hmm.
So great. We talked about it in our style episode.
I will say something that was on my list for a long time, but I eventually took off, was both Legally Blonde the movie and Legally Blonde the musical.
Well, why'd you take it off?
Because I tried to orient the list towards things we like enjoyed together.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough.
And as we both independently enjoy those movies or those entities, but I wanted to be a little more centered on our friendship.
I get that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, my number 9.
But pink outfit, iconically Reese Witherspoon, burned into my mind in that pink jumpsuit.
Absolutely.
Or sweatsuit.
And then later, Ariana Grande in the same. Number 9, not falling in love at the Jersey Shore, which is basically Hot Girl Summer. But, you know, a historical Hot Girl Summer. It's the one rule.
Not Falling in Love is on the list because it famously does come out of Jersey Shore, which is seminal media for both of us.
Exactly.
When I was in CIO, which we talked about on the first episode, I was like, I'm trying so hard not to fall in love with the Jersey Shore right now.
Fighting for my life.
And Becca famously has it on the door of her apartment here in Pittsburgh.
Yes. The one rule in my room.
I found out Karma is now closed, and it broke something inside me.
Oh, God. That's so sad. All right.
So, yeah.
And my last alternate is probably the most famous activity ever. Walking. I love walking.
I think this has to go on.
Right?
I think this has to go on.
Because it's something that we've always done.
I also love walking.
So perfect.
I specifically I go on walks like every day.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
I love a hot girl walk. I be hiking through Shenley Park.
Exactly.
I know all the trails.
It's just the best.
And the hot girl walk is like the term hot girl walk is giving the walk a real moment.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, it's low impact. It's good on your joints. A lot of people say it's better than running in terms of exercising.
A lot of people say that.
A lot of the new science, including me as someone who doesn't like running. So,
and I stand by that.
Something I won't do is run.
Never.
What's that important? What's that important that I have to run? I could walk briskly.
Sure. But
I also have long legs, so I could get places walking where some people can only get running.
That is true. That is so true. Think smarter.
But walking is on the list now.
Yay! All right.
Okay. Well, Becca, that got 4 new entries.
Okay, nice.
But yeah, so I'll read my alts now. One of them was Plastic Hearts, but it got
used.
Promoted.
Yeah.
My other one, or starting the list, Dialects.
Yeah, totally.
Broadly.
Mm-hmm.
Becca and I love dialects, and we will be getting into that exploring that as we go through the pod.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Cathedral of Learning.
Okay.
Was another one I had.
All right.
Kind of the seminal building on our college's campus. Not where we met, but kind of close to it.
Yeah.
Calling All the Monsters by China Anne McClain.
Okay. Add that to the list. Yeah.
It was on the list, but it was like Pop 2, Plastic Hearts, Calling All the Monsters, what do we add? And yeah.
No, I think she needs to be on the list because
we also talked about it.
Yeah, what is better than like I love Halloween, it's my favorite holiday, and that song is just like
what is more quintessentially
exactly Halloween.
Kim Petra should really do a cover of it as the Queen of Halloween. Like her and China need to collaborate.
That would be the but do you think they would get along?
I don't know.
I don't know if they would.
It would also be produced by Dr. Luke, and so we need to confront that reality as well.
Okay, yeah. You brought up a lot of good points.
So, I don't know.
Okay.
But Calling All the Monsters will be on the list.
Okay.
My next one is Hedwig and the Angry Inch, which was one thing that was a little bit more me.
Yeah.
We also did talk about it on a podcast, the Broadway Vibes Only podcast. Go listen to them. In a lost episode, we don't know where the audio is quite. But Becca and I did appear on a recording of that podcast, and we both talked about our favorite musical. I talked about Hedwig and the Angry Inch. Becca talked about Mamma Mia. I don't have the time to get into Hedwig and the Angry Inch right now, and like everything it is to me, but it is on the list.
Yeah.
Or it is on the alternates. So next one, Vroom Vroom by Charlie XCX.
Because what else? Like, again, I don't have words because it can't be described.
And it's truly started to cross over.
Oh, it's getting
where,
people.
Yeah, now people who like aren't like in that sphere, people who would normally listen to that kind of music, like people love Vroom Vroom the song.
They'll still say beep beep.
Beep beep.
So let's ride.
No, and hearing Vroom Vroom live, like there was nothing like it.
I'm so jealous right now.
and I don't mean to talk about that as an experience that Becca missed out on.
Yeah.
But, so Vroom Vroom added to the list. What are we thinking?
I really want to, and nothing's stopping me, so I think we should do it.
Yeah. I had Sophie on the list at one time, and so I'm glad this will be our way to honor her.
Yeah.
On the list. My next thing, melodrama.
Oh my god.
A seminal album for me. I famously said I thought Harry Styles was brave for releasing a breakup album after melodrama.
Crazy.
Seminal album for me. The song Supercut, I have almost a Pavlovian response to it. Like I hear it and I like want to immediately bawl my eyes out.
I start floating.
Yeah.
I feel like it also needs to be on the stand list because of how good it is.
Yeah.
It's her sweetener.
Yeah. Yeah, again, like
it's also
a little bit after Sweet, or no, it's like around the same time as Sweetener.
It's like her sweetener and her Thank You Next. If the power of those two were combined,
because it was tracking the entire experience.
Exactly. So
yeah.
Wow. All right.
Also, the song "Writer in the Dark" after like the whole shushing controversy, which Lorde was well within her right to shush her fans. You will never convince me otherwise.
Yeah, go ahead and shush.
And notice how all of her fans listened to her immediately. Like, no one was like, oh, what's going on? Nobody was like that.
I know.
And the internet tried to editorialize and say, Lord's this way, Lord's this way, Lord's this way. And she said, no.
No.
And then her response was perfect. If you ever, like, go look up Lord's response, because she talked about it, because she's on tour right now, and so she talked about it at her concert, like, when the meme was going around.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just so perfectly, like, dealt with it. She's like, anyway, I could talk about Lorde for a long time. But...
Yeah.
My next alternate is the Cool Girl monologue from Gone Girl.
Oh my god. Oh my god, it's gonna have to be on the stand list. Not all the alternates being, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Watching Gone Girl, I think did it come out in 2014? Because if it did, that would be a huge, like, part of it. Yeah, it did. 2014. Just another reason why 2014 is the best year ever. But I was that was like the cool girl phase. Like, oh my god. I
forget about it.
One time I wrote that monologue down and had it on my wall.
Yeah.
Quinn, like, yeah. As an insane woman.
I was recently she's everything I want to be.
Exactly.
Rosamund Pike's character in that film.
Yeah.
I also love how Rosamund Pike like has completely carved out this thing of playing the most unlikable woman you've ever encountered.
Yeah.
But still managing to get us to root for her.
And they will have a Bob. Trust.
No, I remember I think the first and maybe only time I've watched Gone Girl all the way through, I was not even intending to watch it. I turned my TV on, this was some years ago, and I was intending to watch Survivor, which is famously my favorite show. I had it recorded on the DVR, but I would never actually watch it on Wednesday nights because it was like a school night, and, you know, I was doing homework, all that kind of stuff. And so I would usually watch it on, like, Saturday mornings and stuff. And I remember, like, I looked at my phone after turning the TV on for a couple minutes, and, like, I was wrapped into the movie, and I just sat there and watched the entire, like, 2.5-hour movie.
Yep.
And the Cool Girl monologue has had staying power past that movie.
It's truly incredible. It set a precedent.
Yeah. And then my final alternate was Blizzy McGuire. Infamous TikToker. Probably the funniest person on TikTok, I think.
Maybe one of the funniest people on the planet.
Yeah, on the planet.
When you sent me... Okay, Blizzy had a great response to diabetics. And that was to watch those sugar levels. Sweetie babies. I literally saved it to my phone, and sometimes I just listen to it for inspiration.
She's so funny. She's so, like... She would be the perfect person to have on this podcast. I feel like she would get it right away.
Yeah, she has it. She has the star quality.
Yeah, and she's just... Yeah, and the outfits she wears...
It's everything.
She just... Yeah. Like...
Yeah. I feel like she needs to be on the stand list.
Okay.
Oh my god. Am I just like so agreeable, or no? I feel like you.
No, we both.
This is just incredible things.
So we always knew this was going to be a possibility.
Yeah.
We left the door open, and we want to stand more things. You know.
Yeah, I want to like things.
Yeah, we want to like things on this podcast.
Let me like things.
We now have. So I believe. We just had a whole other list, basically, from the alternates.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the stand list will start with 29 entries.
Wow.
And yeah, and I cannot wait. So now with the stand list, we have set a precedent. So these are the things we stand. No longer allowed to criticize these things. Only allowed to celebrate them on the pod. And so we would love to invite you, the listeners, as well, to submit your own things that you would like to be reviewed for the stand list.
Yes.
Maybe it can be a new segment on the pod, like every week or every 2 weeks or something. We review the stand list submissions, decide what made it, what didn't. And because we would love to hear from you in that way, DM us on Instagram or email us, even better.
Yeah.
And you can submit things to the stand list. Becca and I will hear them. And also, moving forward, each guest of our pod will have the distinction and the privilege of adding something to the stand list. That will be kind of their own personal stamp on the MPJCU.
Yeah.
Yeah. Becca, we've done it.
We did it. We did it again.
We did it. So
29.
We're gonna take a much needed break.
Yeah.
And come back for our jump scares and Manic Pixie moments that we've been experiencing recently.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Okay, welcome back to the end of the pod. We created an incredible list today, and we're quite tired.
Yes, very proud of this.
Yes.
It's better than I could have even imagined when I came up with this idea.
Exactly. So, as always, we are going to share with you our jump scares and our Manic Pixie moments of the week. If you're unfamiliar, jump scares are scary and or terrifying and or just things that happened to us this week or that we've noticed. And then Manic Pixie moments are things we've enjoyed, cool girl moments, or just anything positive, basically. So, Quinn, would you like to start with your jump scare and Manic Pixie moment of the week?
Yes. So, my jump scare this week is, as I talked about a little bit earlier in the pod, it was Pride weekend here in Pittsburgh. And I just have, like, a PSA. If you are a person who only elects to go to queer spaces such as, you know, gay bars, drag shows, you know, the whatever might fall under the amorphous umbrella term that is queer space. If Pride Month and even Pride Weekend more specifically, is the only time you interact with those spaces, especially if you were a queer person, like, you need to, like, readjust a little bit. In my view. Now, I have done a lot of, like, research into the history of queer space and, like, done a lot of thinking. Gay Bar by Jeremy Atherton Lynn is a great book to read if you want more information on that kind of thing. But as I said, it was Pride Weekend here in Pittsburgh, and the bars that I've been going to for the past year to 6 months were literally packed with people in a way I'd never seen it before. And in a way, it's like, yay, like, people are coming out, they're supporting these places that struggle to exist in a way that bars that are not for, you know, specifically for queer communities don't struggle. And it's like, to a certain extent, I celebrate that, but it's also like, where the fuck are you during the rest of the year? Like, these spaces exist all year long. And so, like, either integrate them in a way or just, like, and especially, like, I'm gonna, like, not to get divisive or anything, but straight people in particular, like, if you are like, oh, it's Pride Month, let me go yaslay at the gay bar, like, understand the history of the space and understand that ultimately it's not your space to take ownership of if you are not a queer person. And so be respectful of queer people in that space. I was at a drag show this weekend where these poor entertainers, I'll give a shout out to them on the podcast if they ever listen. Miss V, Calypso, October, as well as Dynasty, and then Veruca from New York City. They were giving such an amazing drag show, and I was in my favorite bar here in Pittsburgh, Brewers, and it was packed to the brim. Like, it was packed in a way I've never seen it before. And I go there like once a week. I see drag shows quite regularly. I've seen most of these girls before perform, and so I was just trying to go and have a good time with my friends. But like, the metric ton of people made that hard enough. And then literally, it's already a small stage at Brewers. If anybody's ever been there, you know. People were literally walking on the stage like while queens are performing. And like walking through the queens' performance area. Calypso, who is a super talented queen, and I will give her props. Please go out, tip her if you live in the Pittsburgh area and can go see her on any of her international gigs if you can go see her. She literally was like 3 people came and walked while she was doing a number. And it was literally at the climax of the song, which is like, if you're a drag fan, you know the girls is about to do a stunt.
Yeah.
And so she literally was like, okay, come on. She literally was nice enough to wave people through. And then on the third person, she sticks out her hand and says, stop. The person keeps going, but she has already started the process of jumping into a split.
Oh my God.
And like, luckily nothing bad happened, but like, something very bad could have happened. And it's like, it's your fault for walking through the show and like acting like you've never been anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, I also had this other experience where it was at the bar that night where I was literally standing in a place, like standing there to hold like a spot where we could see the show while my friends were getting drinks. And it was right next to like one of the tables at the bar. And this man, I want to profile and say he was probably a man, is like, turns to me and goes, oh, are you waiting for the bar? And I go, no. And he's like, oh, because you're like kind of on top of us. And the bar is literally packed. I'm like, well, where exactly would you like me to stand?
What's the ideal?
Yeah, what's the ideal? Where would you like me to go? And it's like, sir, as somebody who's at this establishment like once a week, sometimes multiple times a week, I've never seen you here. No shade. I've never seen you at any of the queer establishments around Pittsburgh. Like, I don't know you from Adam, sir. Like, what is going on? And so it was just like so. It's like you would never think that the least fun place to be on Pride Weekend is like a gay bar, but it's like another place I go to regularly. I had to wait like 30 minutes in a line. I've never waited there, and it was just like it just put like a whole like damper on the weekend because it's really not fun when things are like super crowded.
Yeah.
And it's also not fun when people who like don't understand what like the spaces are there. And so like if you're gonna go do it, fine. Like we want you there, but like put in the work to like understand what's going on a little bit and support. Gay bars are open 12 months a year and are literally vanishing at a super concerning rate. There are literally 21, I want to say, or it's not, I forget. It's like lesbian bars left in like the country. There's like in the neighborhood of like 20 left in the entire country. And so if you are only supporting like queer-owned establishments during Pride Month, there's something wrong. Yeah. And you need to like step it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's my jump scare of the week.
That was well thought out. And I agree with you.
No, it was like, I kept saying to my friend Corey while we were there, I'm like, and I'm going to talk about this on my podcast.
Best believe this getting amplified. All these people
now I have
on blast.
Platform.
And you're putting them on blast.
Yeah.
As you should.
Oh my God. Also, in the Fire Island movie, I just need to tell you about this. There are these two characters that are like really like on top of each other the whole time. And at one point, one of the characters goes missing and they're like playing it up that like, I don't know, something happened to him. And he's like, you don't understand. We were going to start a podcast.
And in that,
and at that point, my friend and I who were watching it were like guffawing.
Guffawing. Yeah, pretty much.
So Becca, what is your jump scare this week?
So my jump scare is a little short, and again, I'm bringing up my mom and my dogs. But my mom did return home from Scotland after 2 weeks because she was there. She's been there.
Crazy.
She hiked all over McGregor County, which is apparently what her side of the family extends from. She is a McAdams, closely related to Rachel. And I did lie to you. But so she came home late last night, and she was wearing a tank top. And I forgot that she has tattoos of all three of our dogs on her arm. And I physically was like, whoa. And it's truly so shocking to see them every time because they're like exactly what you think they would look like, tattoos of dogs' faces on a woman. Like, yeah. So it just gave me a little jump, but nothing too bad. Love her. Love the dogs. Yeah,
not expecting that. I could see it being.
I was like, wow, what a memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with that, Quinn, would you like to share your Manic Pixie moment of the week?
Yes, my Manic Pixie moment of the week is going to be something I did today. I talked about doing the artist way a little bit earlier in the podcast, but another big part of the artist way is that each week you have to take yourself on what's called an artist date. And so that's basically a time in which you just take yourself somewhere, which will allow you to fill your well, is I believe the way that the author puts it, but just like help you get in tuned creatively. And so something I've been meaning to do ever since I like moved to Pittsburgh is go to the Andy Warhol Museum, which is on the North Shore here in Pittsburgh. And I finally did it. I went today. And it was really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, Andy, of course I knew who Andy Warhol was. And like some of his contributions, but like truly seeing some of the stuff, I'm like, wow, he had a lot going on. And I also found it inspiring how he worked in so many different mediums and like truly made such like a cool contribution to like culture. And also like it was fun because like I didn't know that all the pop artists like knew each other before today. But like Warhol and like Keith Haring were friends and like Buddies. They collaborated. And also like Warhol and Basquiat, they actually had a falling out at one point.
Interesting.
And so Yeah, but it was really cool to learn more of the history and stuff. It didn't get into like some of the criticisms of Andy Warhol and like his work and stuff like that. So you might have to go outside for that. But if you just want to see like his work, learn a little bit more about Andy Warhol, Warhol Museum right here in Pittsburgh is a great place to go.
Cool. Do you approve of Evan Peters' portrayal of Andy Warhol in American Horror Story?
I was thinking about that. Lena Dunham as Valerie Solanas is genius casting.
Literally.
I think unlike anything I've ever seen before.
Unprecedented.
And if you don't know, Valerie Solanas she was somebody who was in Andy Warhol's orbit and I found out the whole story today. He had a script of hers and she was like, "Where is the script?" And he was like, "I can't find it." And then it was like recovered after he died in like this in this famous like trunk that was featured in one of his films. And so yeah, but literally Valerie Solanas came down to the factory and shot Andy Warhol. And he like he was literally pronounced dead when he got to the hospital.
But he survived.
And yeah, and then they did 5 hours of surgery and then I thought that like it did cause complications that would like eventually lead to his death, but he lived like 20 more years after that.
He lived big long after that.
And he fully took like pictures of himself after surgery like, oh.
If you haven't read the Scum Manifesto, that's also interesting to read.
Yeah, the Scum Manifesto is also, guys, you have to read the Scum Manifesto.
that hung on my wall next to Cool Girl.
It's the ideological like grandmother of Cool Girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Becca, what is your Manic Pixie moment of the week?
So Quinn, as you have known me, I am, despite what we talked about being a cool girl, I am very hot. I'm very attractive and also physically warm. I run warm.
Yeah.
It's something about me. I need my apartment to be like...
Something about both of us.
Yeah. I need my apartment to be like 65 degrees at all times. Okay, something about my room at home. It is famously the hottest room in my house.
Same with my room at home.
So frustrating. I'm right above the garage and I have big windows. But even like in the night, it's like abnormally hot. So I have like a big fan that I always have on. It's off right now. But so I was like, I was so hot all night. And I finally was like, I'm so fed up with this lifestyle of being so hot. Like even with the fan on and my room is so hot. So finally... I was the change I wished to see in my world. And I rearranged my room so that my air vent is like uncovered and has, its ability to make my room cool.
Yeah.
Right now my fan is off and I'm a normal temperature. I changed my life within a few hours. I honestly can't believe it. So I am officially cool girl. And that is how everything wraps together.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that will be the conclusion of this third episode of our illustrious podcast.
Yay.
So Becca, how can people keep up with you?
Well, I am at Becca Hobart on Instagram and stuff like that. Quinn, how can people keep up with you individually?
I am at Quinn P. Murphy on both Instagram and TikTok. I am at Quinny P123 on Instagram. And you can see me rolling my eyes all throughout June at your local gay bar.
Amazing. And please, please, please email us at manicpixiejumpscare@gmail.com. We're dying to hear your reviews.
Yes, we want to know what's going on. Also, leave us reviews on your podcast platform if it is a thing that your podcast platform offers. I'm looking at you, Spotify users. I'm looking at you especially, Apple Podcast users.
Yeah.
Because we are on those places. We worked very hard to be on all of those places.
Yeah.
And so you best believe in us some little words of encouragement. And only, much like the stand list, only speak
Only
positivity.
positivity.
Only positivity, only 5 stars.
Exactly.
Beck and I have both done our part. Have you?
Look inward.
Look inward. Much like Becca did when rearranging her room. You had to look inward.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, Becca, where can people follow the podcast if they want to know about, if they want to see the cool graphic Becca's going to make about the stand list, if they want to know about some of our, extra content that's coming up?
We are at Manic Pixie Jumpscare on Instagram and TikTok. And also, we have a YouTube channel where you can watch our podcast if you want to. It's very famous already.
And my friend Corey looked it up and said Manic Pixie Jumpscare is the first thing that comes up.
It definitely is.
And so, yeah. Our first podcast randomly got, 20 views.
On YouTube?
Yeah.
Not this. That was easy.
No, and they're did you subscribe to the channel, Becca?
I did.
Okay. So I know 3 subscribers, but we have, last time I checked, we have, 5.
Wow, guys. Well, thank you for your support. Unbridled.
I know.
Incredible.
Crazy.
But yeah.
But yeah. So if you prefer to watch a video podcast, Becca and I are uploading things there. We will be uploading some extra content there.
Yeah.
Probably by the time you're hearing this podcast, there will be some extra content uploaded on there that was not in our previous episodes. And so yeah.
Yeah. We're Quinn.
Quinn.
And we're Becca. And thank you for
listening.
We love you.
Bye. Manic Pixie Jumpscare is hosted by Quinn Murphy
and Becca Hobart. Executive produced by Quinn Murphy and Becca Hobart.
Sound and video editing by Quinn Murphy.
Social media management and highlights by Becca Hobart.
And our theme song was written by Quinn Murphy, Becca Hobart, and Nandita Mahesh.